Happy New Year! I'm inside the William F. White Jr. Library on the Delmar College East Campus. The college libraries are dedicated to providing access to learning resources, promoting information literacy, fostering creative thinking and intellectual curiosity, and supporting lifelong learning opportunities for the community. Of course, student learning is the highest priority at Delmar now. I'm Amy Mintz, Associate Professor of Child Development Early Childhood at Delmar College. Today we'll meet the new Dean of Institutional Effectiveness and Assessment at Delmar College. Dr. Kristina Wilson will explain her role at the college. Cody Gregg is also on the show. He's the new Dean of Learning Resources at Delmar College. He'll tell us about some major renovations coming to the East Campus Library. Students in the radio and television program will present a Delmar Now update. We have a great show planned for the new year. Stay right here. This is Delmar Now. Our first guest is the new Dean of Institutional Effectiveness and Assessment at Delmar College. She brings 11 years of expertise in higher education assessment and leadership. She received a doctorate in educational leadership degree from Lamar University, a master's of business administration degree from the University of Texas Pan American, and a bachelor's of social work degree from the University of Texas at Austin. Please welcome to Delmar Now, Dr. Kristina Wilson. Hi, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you so much. Hello.
Okay, well, it's a big title that you bear, the crown at Delmar with assessment. How did you get into the area of assessment? Is this part of your background?
It is, but I kind of stumbled on it in a strange way. So you mentioned some of my educational background. I did social work, I did business, and then finally doctorate in education. I worked at a community college, South Texas College, and I worked in a few different areas, grants, library, and I met somebody who said, you know, you'd be really good at assessment because I was really good at planning, setting targets. I loved looking at data.
Important, yes.
So this particular mentor said, I think you'd be really good at this. So I gave it a try, and she was absolutely right. I loved it. And one of the other things she told me is there's a lack of individuals out there with expertise in this field because it tends to be a little bit intimidating.
I can see that, right? For sure.
So I started in the field probably 8 years ago, and then I stuck to it, and I love it.
Well, we're glad that you are here with us and
Thank you.
helping us with this, because this is definitely important so we can strengthen the college, for sure. So can you explain the two areas that your responsibilities would be or what your duties would be?
Sure. And as you mentioned, institutional effectiveness and assessment, that's a mouthful.
Yes.
And a lot of people aren't even quite sure what that is. And actually, IE and A, it goes hand in hand. And the reason why we call it that is our accreditor, SAC-COC, require that institutions have a process for institutional effectiveness, which is developing a mission statement and having targets to meet that mission statement that are looked at regularly, that are tied to budget, and in which data is collected against these targets. So that's the institutional effectiveness process. There's so much that colleges do, so many units, so much that happens in the classroom. It's really important that we have a way to document what we're doing and that we're showing that we're constantly seeking improvement.
You know, and that's really important for the community and students to know about that. What's happening in the classroom is put to use because we want to strengthen classroom effectiveness, strengthen the resources that are within our community. And this is almost like a checks and balance. Who's holding us accountable? And so assessment is one of those things that is necessary to hold this accountability, to make sure this is a degree that's worthwhile.
Right.
And it's going to mean something.
Right. And so part of what I'm doing is working hand in hand with leaders in both the instructional and the administrative support areas to help them to develop their plans, make sure they're collecting the data that they need to show that they're meeting their targets, and helping them to do that on a continuous basis. Our faculty, our administrators, all of our leadership is so busy all the time, and it's hard to kind of take that step back and develop these plans. So that's where I come in, and I really enjoy it because it gives me the opportunity to work with so many people on campus and to learn about Delmar's goals.
Well, it sounds like you love it.
I do.
But the average population may not love it. So when you hear the word assessment, they may cringe a little bit. What would you say to them to help them change their perspective?
And I do hear that a lot.
Numbers,
I do
math.
hear, when I show up or when I send a calendar invitation that says, let's have an assessment meeting, that there is a little bit of cringing. And to tell you the truth, that makes me cringe because I love it so much. And I think the process itself can be so helpful. So you asked me, well, what do I do if somebody doesn't like assessment? Personally, what I like to do is find out, well, what have your experiences with assessment been? And then I'd like to find out what their goals are, because that's basically what the process is. What are your goals? When do you hope to reach them? How do you know when you reach them? And what kind of data could you collect to help tell that story? Because ultimately, it's about improving departments, divisions, the whole college. And really, by having documented the story, individuals can build a good case for increased services, more resources. There really is a benefit to documenting this process to improve again and again on a cyclical basis. So to me, again, what I like to do is find out what's going on with this individual in this department, and then explaining, it really doesn't have to be hard. I know it sounds hard, it sounds jargony, assessment, i.e. measures, targets, but really these are things that people do all the time. People may not know that they're doing it, setting a target, collecting data.
Setting goals, right.
Setting goals, but the key is just documenting it all in a systematic way.
Right, and you definitely need that. And setting the goals is definitely important, and we set it for the students, set it for us as faculty, set it as administrator, resources on the campus, what can we do to help achieve this next level? So always thinking what's to come or what do I want to achieve is definitely important at making a strong college.
I agree.
So you are new to Corpus area, and so what has surprised you most about being in Corpus Christi so far? Delmar College?
Well, I am new to Corpus, but I am a Texas native. I grew up in South Texas, in McAllen, Texas, and I've lived in different areas across the state. I've lived in Austin, San Antonio, Houston. What I really like about Corpus is it feels like the best of all of these different Texas communities. It feels like South Texas to me, but it also kind of has a city feel like San Antonio. It also has an industrial kind of Houston feel, and because it's on the coast as well, there's such a lovely atmosphere that being on the coast and all of those outdoor activities provide. So together, I feel like Delmar and the Corpus community is really the best of all of these Texas elements.
That is well said, and you definitely hit the highlights of this city. So,
and Delmar, oh my goodness, this institution has been around for so many years that it really feels ingrained in the community. I have loved getting to know the faculty, the staff, the administrators that are so devoted and that love their college.
Well, as you mentioned, Delmar has been around for a while, and now we actually have the benefit of your help to help us. What specific goals would you like to accomplish at Delmar before the year is up? Do you have anything in particular?
Yep, I took a little time, again, to get to know where everything is, get to know who the key players are. But from here on out, for the rest of this academic year, I'd like to meet with leaders from all of the areas. Again, find out what their concerns are, find out where they want to go. Another big piece that I'm working on is we're actually implementing a new assessment software. So anybody at Delmar that's using assessment or has used assessment is familiar with Weave. We're moving to a new system. So that takes some time to kind of get current plans built in the system, get training going. So that is a goal. Another big piece that I'll be working on in the near future is Delmar's strategic plan. So that plan is going to be ending in 2019, and so we're going to start revving up and getting ready to develop the new one. I'm really excited about it.
Sounds like a lot of work.
It is. It'll keep me busy.
Well, we're glad. Thanks for sharing all this information with us today.
Thank you so much.
We're taking a quick break, but students in the radio and television program are back with a Delmar Now update. After that, we'll meet the new Dean of Learning Resources. So stay with us.
Vikings are tough. They don't back down from a challenge. That's why at Delmar College, they've been our symbol of discovery and perseverance since 1935. Today, that Viking spirit thrives more than ever as we develop the next generation of innovators, problem solvers, entrepreneurs, and leaders. Because to go from just getting by to finally getting ahead, it takes a Viking. Delmar College. Dreams delivered.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Delmar Now Update. I'm Brittany Claremont.
And I'm Priscilla Witten.
Registration for the spring 2018 semester at Delmar College is underway. Registration will continue through January 3rd before class rolls will be stripped for non-payment. One deadline has already passed for enrollment and students being dropped for non-payment. Registration will resume on January 4th. Rallies to encourage students to register early have been held on East and West campuses this semester. Participants were able to learn more about admissions, financial aid, along with other student resources. Admission information is available at www.delmar.edu/steps_to_take_credit_classes. Students may also email the enrollment center at enroll@delmar.edu. Students who do not have sophomore status will need to have a registration hold removed by an advisor. There will also be additional opportunities for students to register in January.
That's right, and classes start on January 16th. A new articulation agreement has gone in effect between Delmar College and Texas A&M University Corpus Christi. The agreement allows Biology 1404 and Biology 1415 to count towards a bachelor's degree. The courses count towards a biotechnology degree. Previously, the courses counted only as core science requirements for a liberal arts degree. The two courses are not like traditional biology courses. The courses delve into biotechnology and cutting-edge laboratory research. An applied science degree program has begun to send Delmar College students into the workforce. The industrial instrumentation program is meeting a demand in the petrochemical field. Corpus Christi's process industry continues to expand with the addition and expansion of petrochemical and steel companies along the port of Corpus Christi. Students learn via hands-on experience so that when they intern with local companies such as OxyChem or Cheniere Energy, they know the instrument's function. Delmar College instructor Greg Gallagher says industrial instrumentation is a multidisciplinary subject. It includes material from pneumatic, mechanical, electrical, electronics, and computers.
A first-time course in history will be offered this coming spring semester at Delmar College. African American history will introduce students to individuals whom they may never heard of. In addition to studying about Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman, DMC professor of history Lisa Welch says students will also learn about David Walker and Esteban, a black man who came to America with Spanish explorer Cabeza de Vaca. History 2381 will cover topics such as the development of an African American culture, the realities of the slave experience, to expressions of African American culture. The course is one of the choices in the Cultural and Behavioral Science component. An anonymous $100,000 donation has led to the creation of an Endnote scholarship fund at Delmar College. The donation will support students training in the hospitality management program. Particularly, the scholarships are for students majoring in bakery pastry specialization, culinary arts, and hospitality management. The Gary Gargill Human Scholarship is already providing funding for 16 hospitality management majors. Gary Human was known in Corpus Christi for her wedding and specialty masterpieces. Her work provided cakes for weddings and other special events, including governors and local politicians' receptions. Human passed away in 2016.
A former Corpus Christi City Secretary has been named by Delmar College to the Nueces County Tax Board. Armando Chapa was named to represent Delmar College on the board of the Nueces County Tax Appraisal District. Chapa brings more than 30 years experience in management and administration. His service on the board is on a volunteer basis, but he has expressed an interest to remain active in the community. Chapa was city secretary from 1985 to 2014. He managed access and security for municipal documents, maintained fiscal records, and was a city liaison with community organizations. He prepared budgets as well as maintained city documents. Chapa is to attend regularly scheduled meetings of the appraisal district. He's also to keep Delmar College informed about major issues and decisions by the board. He replaces local businessman Eugene Bolini, who served two terms on the board.
That's this edition of Delmar Now Update. I'm Brittany Claremont.
And I'm Priscilla Witten. Stay tuned for more Delmar Now.
What does it take to go from entry level to management material, or from the day-to-day to paving your own way? What does it take to go from how will I ever get there to look how far I've come? It takes a Viking. Advance your career and continue your education at Delmar College. Dreams delivered.
Catch the Viking spirit. Nationally recognized and locally focused, Delmar College has been delivering dreams for over 75 years. If Delmar College has touched your life, join the Vikings Alumni Association and help others achieve their dreams. Stay connected. Support scholarships. Explore the Viking Career Network. Join online today at delmar.edu/alumni for as little as $10 and get a free t-shirt. Show your Viking pride.
Quit dreaming of a better job. Go get it. Our region is buzzing with investment from international companies, all looking for skilled workers in industrial trades. Process techs, operators, welders, machinists. Delmar College has the hands-on programs and training you need to get in, get out, and get into the workforce. Great salaries and excellent benefits are just a click away. Get started at delmar.edu. Delmar College. Dreams delivered.
For more information about Delmar Now, log on to www.delmar.edu/now. If you have questions, comments, or suggestions to help us improve Delmar Now, send an email to now@delmar.edu.
Our next guest is the new Dean of Learning Resources at Delmar College. He brings over 20 years experience in management and administration positions, including insight in instructional technologies, open resource labs, library services, and active learning spaces. He receives a master's in library and information science degree from University of North Texas. Additionally, he holds a master's of arts in English as a second language degree and a bachelor's of arts for double major in English and history degree from University of Texas Pan American. Please welcome to Delmar Now, Cody Gregg. Hi, thanks for being with us today.
Hi, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Okay, learning resources sounds like it's a really important deal. After all, we are a learning institution, yes? So tell us about learning resources and why would a student be interested in this?
Learning resources are those services and resources that can help a student along their academic journey. They can help them to achieve their goals and to reach success in whatever they're trying to do and whatever they're trying to achieve. So there are things like library services.
Okay.
There are things like tutoring, and as well things like distance learning and e-learning.
Okay, and I mean those are definitely, some students probably gravitate more towards using some of these resources than others. Some may not even know about these resources. And so are these something that are all over campus, or is there one central location they can go to get some of this information?
For For us in learning resources, we're primarily centered in the libraries.
Okay.
So on the East Campus, in the White Library, we have our library resources, obviously, and we also have the Stone Writing Center, and we also have e-learning. And then on the West Campus, we have the Barth Learning Resource Center, which is the library on that campus as well.
So a lot of resources.
Yes, we do.
What areas of the college report to the Dean of Learning Resources?
So as I just mentioned, I have e-learning, which is distance education. I have the libraries, and I also have the Stone Writing Center reporting to me.
And so is there overlap between these, or do they provide distinct separate services?
There is some overlap in that they support students along that academic journey and their academic support services, but primarily they're independent and kind of function separately as independent standalone kinds of services.
Okay, and as a student, they have access to these services. You don't need to get a referral from a teacher or from an outside specialist.
That's correct.
These are part of being a Delmar College student.
That's correct. We're open to any student who wants to come and make use of our services.
Okay, that's really important to know about. So you were also the Dean of Learning Resources, though, at South Texas College.
I was.
So much of a change here? Are the duties similar?
The duties are similar, although at South Texas College I had several other areas under my area of responsibility. I had all of the tutoring services at the college, not just the writing tutoring services. And in addition, I also had all of classroom technologies, and so I was responsible for all of a lot of the projectors and other equipment that was in the classrooms as well as all of the open computing labs that were on campus reported to me.
So I think having more of a specialized focus, this can allow you then to grow. Where do we need to improve on, or what do I need to change? What do we need to add more of?
Absolutely. I very much enjoyed, since getting here to Delmar, being able to focus a little bit more on one or two areas rather than having such a wide area of responsibility.
Well, we've mentioned the library a few times, and there's talk of renovations at the White Library on the East Campus. How far is this process, or what's it going to be like? When's the final product?
We are at the very, very beginning stages. So this is part of the bond program that the college passed, and there are other renovations that will take place on the East Campus as well. And so the White Library renovation will be part of those renovations that take place. And what can we expect from that? Well, we really want to change completely the look and feel of the library.
Okay.
The library now is a very traditional library where you feel like you have to be very quiet. You feel like the librarian's going to come up and shh, which is a horrible stereotype for librarians, but it still exists. And we don't want that to be the feeling in libraries anymore. So we want the White Library to be a very modern, 21st century space, supportive of collaboration. Believe it or not, the library will be loud, and it will be okay to be loud in the library. But we also recognize that need for quiet space and quiet study is still something that a lot of students need. So there's a lot of priorities, and all of those priorities we'll try to design the space so that we can provide all of those different spaces that support learning however students choose to do it, whether that's collaborative in a group or whether that's individual, they have to hunker down and study for a test during finals. We want to have those kinds of spaces that support them as well.
And different learning styles is definitely important, because people learn in different ways. People's brains function in different ways, and so some of us do want the quiet, some of us do want the noisy, and some of us want the hands-on, some of us want the visual. So
absolutely.
I think it's really important to be able to offer all these resources for students to help them be successful.
Absolutely.
So we're looking forward to the final product.
Yes.
Well, again, we're still talking a little bit about libraries, and the problem is most students will say, well, no, I got a library right here on my phone. We have access to outside resources, it seems, without even having to set foot into a library. So how is the library still a vital resource for student learning?
As I mentioned, with the transformation that we want to make in the White Library, libraries are really rebranding themselves and growing into spaces that aren't just about information anymore. It's about what is that product that the student has to produce at the end, whether that's a speech, whether that's a group project, whether that's a paper. So the library is there to enable the student to get that information, but then to use that information and also to have the tools to produce that final product and to support learning in that way. And that's the way I think that academic libraries especially have become more viable and more relevant as we've kind of gone through this whole Google revolution and the
Yes.
digital revolution, and you can look it up on your phone. Well, it's not just about the information. It's about what you do with that information and what you produce with that information once you have it. And we
True.
want to be able to help them with that.
And use those resources in the correct way so that you're not plagiarizing something or
Absolutely.
saying something inaccurately.
And having that expert guidance there, having our
Yes.
reference librarians there, having our tutors there in that same space. So if a student has trouble with writing the paper, they can go to the tutor. But if they're having trouble with the research and the citation, they can go talk to the librarian, having them co-located in the same space so that we don't give the student the runaround and the student doesn't have to go across campus
Very good point.
to get that kind of.
Very helpful, for sure. Well, lastly, what's one thing you're looking most forward to in this position?
Absolutely, it has to be the renovation of the White Library and the building and design of the library for the New South campus. In all of libraries, that's kind of my passion, is the transformation of spaces from older, more traditional spaces into new modern learning commons spaces that really support student learning and are just vibrant hubs of community for the campus.
Bringing that learning together.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for chatting with us today and sharing this great information.
Thank you.
If you have questions or comments about Delmar Now, please send an email to now@delmar.edu. We'll be back with a new show in February. We'll hope you join us. Until then, I'm Amy Mintz for Delmar Now. Thanks for watching.